Growth consultants, business owners, and ad advocates, it is possible to reach your goals and dreams for yourself, for your client, and you can actually make campaigns go crazy and you can have some really great results. It all depends on how you structure your account. And if you give me 15 minutes, I'm going to go over how we managed to, at the beginning of February up until now. So it's been 5 months. In 5 months, we've managed to take a business from $0 in online sales, so from ad spend and different ad platforms, to $75,000 a month with an average ROAS of 10. My name is Rob. I'm a growth consultant. I'm starting this channel because I want to go over these case studies that I've built up over the past 5 years, how we're breaking businesses in a good way, forcing them to grow, and getting a lot of negligence out of their workflow system. So we do that internally. We do that for the clients and everybody else as well. And yeah, first took them on, I was a bit hesitant because I was used to selling maybe 25 to 45 fast-paced e-commerce, $50 to $90 AOVs, something on the lines of mid-ticket plus retirement age. It just sounded very strange to me, sounded very foreign. They wanted to move massive units of this product. They don't have a direct selling method because it's priced at $2,000 a unit. So we have a high ticket, a high mid ticket, whatever you want to call it. We have a high ticket item, and the business itself is serving people who are over the age of 55, right? So picture 55 and up, Grandpa Stu, he may be a customer here. This is nationwide targeting. These results are coming from a national campaign, United States. If you're doing something local, obviously your results are going to look different than this because it's all about audience size. Okay. So the first thing here, like I said, retirement age, 55, your grandpa's buying a $2,000 thingy and it's going to change his life. The business has existed, so they are coming from the 90s. What does that mean? They've existed. They have rapport. They have some website traffic. This isn't a 0 to 1 situation where the business is flatline. It's not flatline, but it's new. Nobody's ever heard of them. The nothing of nowhere becomes the something of somewhere. They had existing traction. They had momentum. And when we took on the account, we wanted to make the guarantee that we're not going to make any claims for those sales that come in. It's going to be strictly through the paid ads channel. That's all that we're reporting on today. We've segmented the actual sales volume based on our efforts. This is not the entire business. We're not writing anybody's coattails. We're doing science, and it's really fun. So they did no online advertising before, but they had some decent website traffic. The business itself, obviously, it does well as an entire whole, but we'll go into the nitty-gritty parts next. And then high ticket wellness, I don't want to expose the niche because they're a dominant player there. It's not too hard to classify who's who in that situation. So we're going to leave that as high ticket wellness. Just picture 2K AOV. Grandpa Stu needs this, and he needs to submit a form right now. And so they have a lead to sale conversion structure. What does that mean? You got sales reps, you got workflows. So you're nurturing through email sequences, trying to educate them on your content. And at the same time, Andy and Ryan, they're just calling leads all day long, trying to get them processed. Okay. So this is the audit stage. We entered the account. We want to work with you guys. We want you to take a look. Tell me what's good. Tell me what's bad. Aside from the campaign, right? We'll get into these metrics here. But aside from the campaign, I looked at their existing CRM. Now, workflows weren't built out. Sales reps weren't updating lead statuses. I asked one of the managers that was on the team, because it's about a team of 5 sales reps, 1 lead. So the 6th guy, I asked him, what is the average turnaround time? No ego here. Just explain it to me. He's saying sometimes it can take up to 5 days to 2 weeks for them to update the status in the CRM. The callback period is between maybe 3 days, maybe it could be 2 to 3 days. And the issue there is that the leads are coming in, we don't have workflows set up, and we don't have a consistent way of acquiring, more leads on a daily basis. Let me break that down. It was week 1. There's a large influx. Maybe they're doing a direct mail campaign or this and that. And then week 2, it's bone silent. So there's off periods here. And that's because they don't have a digital pipeline. They don't have social media. I wrote it somewhere in here. They have 300 followers. Nobody's really watching or converting from there. And then on the other side, they don't have ad spend, so they're not getting the daily reach that they deserve. That means traffic has its boom and bust. So whenever something happens, they attend a conference, they attend some type of event that fits the avatar. There could be a surge in sales, and then the sales team, get on your feet, let's keep going. But because of these boom and busts, there wasn't incentive. They weren't inspired to get up and close that deal. Let's nurture these leads. Let's get them in the door. It's, hey, we got 22 weeks ago. This week we have 4 looking kind of dry, this and that. I may send them an email on Thursday. We'll see how it goes. It's that level. And a lot of times when you're working with boomer-based businesses, it's just natural. A lot of times workflows haven't been implemented. This is manual emails. This is manual calls, which is fine. Not necessarily, but you'll see that it leads to a lot of bottlenecks. It leads to bored sales team and then unimpressive results. Now, they took a stab at running ads for, I think, the 3 weeks of January of 2025. They're reaching us out to us halfway before because the agency they were working with, they didn't like the results. They wanted to see our take it things. So we showed them what we do. The actual numbers, they started running ads in the month of January. They reached us to us about halfway through the month, said February and on, we'd like you guys to take over based on the audit you give. We did that. So their numbers prior to that event were 20 calls, $130 a call, right? So that's just about $2,600 in ad spend to get some phone calls. So the results from those, because we managed to go back and listen in. So that's the sales team. Now we're going to look at, so that is the sales team. Now we're going to be looking at the actual numbers that they had prior to working with us, because they did run ads. They got 2.6K in the door for January in terms of ad spend. They got some initial learnings, as we'll see here, and we basically stepped in, gave them an audit, showed what we could actually do, and then so on from there. Okay, 20 calls, $130 a call, 2.6K spend. Now, when we drilled down, we discovered that it's a 90% dead call rate. So these numbers are fake. They basically spent $2,000 and got nothing for it, because that remaining 10% that they reached, I asked, was anybody qualified from there? Wrong number. Who are you? Why are you calling me? And they weren't collecting the feels that they needed to really nurture that personalized experience. That is a configuration issue. It has nothing to do with the sales team in that aspect, but at the same time, their department was bleeding budget and they had to do something fast. That's it. You don't have a CRM, and then your paid campaigns, like I said, 90% dead call rate. So you're just hemorrhaging almost $3K of cash. If this goes on every single month, I firmly do not believe that you will see a dime from this investment. And my claim to them is that if you decide to not go with us and you want to run the ads in-house, because that's what they were thinking, internal marketing team, a little bit outdated, I said it would be best if you just didn't do Facebook ads, because I don't think that you guys would benefit from it. I think you would hemorrhage money, and it's not ideal. Now, on the other side to that, I pointed out your sales team is bored, right? So they have really good weeks, really bad weeks. And then it just adds some type of lethargic aura, if you could say, across the team, where they're kind of uninspired. They're not banging out deals every day. It's not necessarily fun to just get on the phone and get things going, because you need deals, you need momentum. You got to have things coming in at scale. You got to have opportunities. You've got to develop the opportunities. Anyways, next part here. Proposal is very streamlined, because we do this for every client, regardless if it's e-commerce or lead gen. It's all the same thing. It's obviously not, but It's all the same thing in terms of the principles that we implement. So on stage one, you got to reduce complexity, because I've seen so many ad accounts. I saw one yesterday actually on one of our Done With You calls, and it was complex. It was a lead gen campaign leading to a quiz survey, and the structure of the campaign was targeting Jane's sister and this and that, and then broad, and none of the audiences were configured correctly because they put in the and conditional formatting instead of like a stacked interest. And he kept telling me it's stacked interest, try to argue with me. And then I looked and it wasn't. So you've got to reduce complexity. These campaigns are not rocket science. It's, from my experience, just from being in the game and stuff, it's not hard to set up an ad campaign and to really understand the structure behind it. You got an ad campaign. You got to give it some audience testing. This is aside from retargeting. You got a prospecting campaign, okay? You got an ad campaign. You've got audiences. You can stack the audiences or you can do splits. Sometimes one works better than the other, million ways to skin a cat. And then once you have that set up, inside of there, you have the real work, which is creative testing and mitigating the risk on those creatives. Because 9 times out of 10, when I look at accounts where it's like, a guy will tell me, yeah, I managed the account, this and that. I pop in, you have $300 of ad spend on a video, and there's nothing to show for it. Like, why are you going to keep spending there? All you need to do is press it, turn it off, go to the next one, keep it going from there. But in all these meetings, they want a new ad structure. They're like, how do I unlock growth? I'm like, cover your behind first and then worry about growth, because that's silly. If you're not going to be watching the creatives and actually learning from them, none of this is going to work. It's just not. You can set up a million new fun YouTube video inspired ad setups that are trending, and this is the secret. You're not going to get to where you need to be because you're not learning from your audience. You're not learning who you need to be selling to in terms of the interests and who you're going after. And you're not learning what content is actually going to get them to initiate the sequence with you guys, to get indoctrinated, to get affiliated with the brand. You have your deal stages. Your CRM needs to be alive. You have to, as the manager or whoever's overseeing the account, you need to understand what's going on, who's coming in, how are they being tagged, how are they being indoctrinated to the business, how are they learning about you guys, how is sales dealing with them. You got to understand all of those components, and more importantly, you got to tag in the system so that way certain stages get certain things and vice versa. And that's that. And so after that, you've got to get the right things tagged, and you've got to get the right workflows set up. Once you know the framework as to what I need to be running, so what workflows work best, how do you get them indoctrinated? How do you get them engaged? How do you get them to purchase? How does sales engage with them? You've got to build that into a master flow. You're obviously going to have multiple different subsegments of that workflow, but this is a mental workflow. It's not even necessarily in the CRM. You need to understand the entire process, who the customer is, and how do they actually want to be treated. Aside from your offer, how do you get them to communicate with you? If you can solve that problem, you can learn about how to tailor your offer. But if you never get to that stage where people at scale don't want to talk to you, it's the nothing of nowhere. Like, just save your time. Like it's not worth ad spending. It's not worth having ad spend. It's not worth doing all of this nonsense, because it can get hard. Marketing can get really complicated, and people can just run their department into demise. And that sucks, because they're hemorrhaging all this ad spend. They're going from agency to agency. They're like, somebody help me. We need a new campaign structure. When in reality, they just need reduced complexity. They need to get organized. And I need to talk with the lead and make sure that he understands A through Z of the process, and he can actually live that mantra. And the next part's fun, because now we get creative. So we've done the busy work. We've reduced the complexity. We've gotten organized. We have deal stages mapped out, master workflow mapped out, and the sales lead he's ready to go because he understands what we're going to be doing on the marketing side, and he understands what his soldiers need to be doing. We're all in sync. This is peaceful. This is very nice. And now it's time to get creative. And so what does this mean? Billboard single, charted album, new drops. These are just analogies. You got your Billboard single, which is just an ad that bangs. So sub $10 cost per lead. It can handle thousands of dollars of ad spend. You can ramp up ad spend 30%, see a 20+% increase in total conversion volume. You have a good delta on it when you play with spend, and it shows minimal signs of attrition. It's Taylor Swift's You Belong With Me, just blasting. You can play it in 2008. You're playing it right now in 2025. And then you got your charted album. This is your entire campaign set. So if you got 15 ads, for example, I want to make sure that that album is going to go platinum. Now, it doesn't all have to be a Billboard single. It can be a good album, though, because it's the standard that you set. So if you're able to get a solid cost per lead across the board as an average, you can make sure that those new creatives that you add in or existing ones that are getting spent are following those guidelines so you can stay on pace. And if it doesn't, I'm going to turn it off. It's just, once again, simplified process there. So, and new drops. The frequency of your ad swaps is really important. You can do once a week. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but make sure you get it in once a week. And more so than that, make sure you're learning every week. You need to understand the angle. You have to understand, is benefits going to do better than features? And I'm not saying that in the generic marketing sense, benefits, features, testimonials. Like, I'm talking about, do people really want to hear about the features, or do they want to just be sold the benefits? You need to have a hook that's going to drive them in, where it's like, hey, you, like, stop suffering. Let me fix this for you. And once you find the element that speaks to these people, that just sparks it, great. All right, let's make 10 variants of it. Let's see how this goes over the next week. Maybe 2 or 3 of them won't do well, and they'll be outliers. Maybe we can start filling up our album. And then, that's the new drop. You're just testing. You're trying to figure out what people want to hear. And obviously present that to your product, and etc. So now we're getting to the results part. And this is big because I want to establish transparency on this channel. I want to show you the real stuff. This is real. This is, we do flash consulting rounds. We get dozens of people that join in on Zoom, show us their call. We diagnose, fix their business. They join in next week. And then we keep going from there. We build rapport. So I'm really big on showing the numbers. This is real. The proof is in the pudding. Results. What was the outcome of us actually stepping in and taking over the ad account? And this is where things got to be really fun. And in this case, we saw how wildly successful the business was doing, which is awesome. Here's the thing. We spent from February to, I'm recording this, it's June 20th. We did these 3 steps and we didn't break our cadence. We had a goal to be initially it was sub $25 in cost per lead. And then we wanted to see at least $20,000 a month in sales. We followed these 3 things. We're like, okay, let's reduce complexity. Let's go to an easy campaign structure. Let's figure out who the heck wants to hear from us. And then let's get organized. Make sure the sales team is actually doing their job. So what we did Monday through Friday is we had quick 5 to 10 minute syncs with the lead. He jumps on Slack. We talk it over. He lets us know his concerns. We go over the numbers breakdown. Boom. From there, we keep going. And then we got creative. So we managed in the first month to find a Billboard single. We filled up the album. We kept the average going. And then we kept dropping new stuff. And you'll see it started out. Again, it was initially, we were like $50 cost per lead because calls were $129. So I'm like, if I can break $100 for you guys, that's a first initial win. We turned on the gauge. It went wild. So we got sub $10 very quickly, first 3 weeks. And then the question was, how do we improve from there? Because they already started to see dollars. They saw their first 30K month when they were working with us in February. So their thing to us was, how the heck do we grow this? Let's keep it going. We're a little limited on budget, but show us proof of concept throughout the next, it was like 6 to 8 months, then we can keep scaling up. And so that's where we are right now. $7 cost per lead, and we didn't stray from our process. We kept these three principles firing. All the pistons are firing at once. We reduced the complexity, we got organized, and we got creative. And we did that every single week. We met our change logs, we checked everything off, we checked in with the sales team to make sure everything was efficient there. And the result of that is we got sub $5 leads. I know what you're thinking. And I'll just tell you the structure for this. This was instant form campaigns. So this wasn't leading them to a website. It's not leading them to a funnel page, and then it goes on from there. This is us just capturing their information, doing a zap, sending it over to the CRM, baton passing to the sales team. Very simple structure, but I'll go a little bit into the nuance in a second here. But we got them sub $10 leads, and we were spending each month less than 10K. The feedback from the client is they were ecstatic, super happy. Recording this now, I just checked the revenue. They're at 380K year to date. Again, this is the 20th of June. Their average, if you break that up, 76K a month that they've been able to reap from Meta ads itself, which is awesome. Gives us a 10 ROAS, a lot of conviction. And whenever we check in with the sales team, they've actually started to hate us because they're overstimulated and cracked out. The lead is happy because he's not handling the dirty work. He's like, oh, this is awesome. 100K months. Let's go, boys. Super happy. But when we talk to the actual reps, they're like, I'm on the phone all day, and then there's so much volume coming in from here because look at, these are thousands of leads. They're like, how do I keep processing and working thousands of leads? And guess what? That's a good problem to have, because the business itself is operating at a 10x. So we need to, and we'll go into the next parts there, but that's the process. Results, they're very happy right now. Knocking on wood, it can break any day, but they're really happy with it. And, I'm really happy to share it. Now, the side outcome that comes with it, and this is a bit of the next steps that we're going to be doing for the rest of the year. You have an overwhelmed sales team. They can't handle the lead volume, so their performance starts to actually drop. Now, it's fine because we're still closing at the rate that meets that 76K a month pace. But at the same time, we're starting to notice that there's not as frequent of callbacks, that they're maxing out their 8 hours on their day. And then, that's it from there. The stack piles up, and guess what? We got backlog. How do you fix that? It's very easy. We have to make sure that they're training people correctly and that they're acquiring people. So we put them on a quarterly plan for getting support, for increasing their team, growing the size of the sales floor, and then going from there, basically making sure that training is up to par, because it's not necessarily I need to hire more people. You need quality, because there's already some anybody who has a sales team, there is underperformers in any sales team. And so if you add in new people, you don't want the underperformer to have seniority and then this person just be the intern that could churn at any given moment. You need killers coming in that are going to go in and execute, and you need dozens of them all firing on the same piston. So we're working on scaling out their sales team, hiring people, making sure that those success metrics are met. And then, like I said, the lead wants to scale to 100K a month. I told him we need, and he says, if you can clear me a 5 ROAS, I consider that a great success. We're at a 10. So obviously we can double up on volume. It's just a matter of ad spend at this point. And why is that? The account isn't stagnant. We're living by the principles. We're getting creative every week. Every week we're making new songs. We're making bangers, trying to get people engaged. And we're seeing success from that. So we're still working every week. It's creative matrix. What's the brief? What's the performance recap? How do we execute? And we're hammering that every week. Same stuff, hammering. And then that's what's going to take us there, because when we do turn up the ad spend, it's going to look like we set up the campaign perfectly and it reached target, set it and forget, when in reality, we're working our butts off inside, which is cool. And so just to recap next steps, they got to hire. You've got to fill up that sales floor with quality people. You got to improve that touch point frequency. Make sure you're working with the leads, and then keep crafting better offers. They came out with a new one. I won't say what it is, but they came up with a new vertical, and that thing took off. It's number 2 in the top performing campaigns in terms of revenue driven, and it's a completely new segment. And then work on your claims and work on your education. You should be making content that's going to teach these people why they need your product. And you maybe think, is that top or bottom, middle funnel? That doesn't matter. Like, just educate them, talk about it, be an advocate for your company and your brand and your product. Jump up and down in the ads, like teach these people what you actually have to sell. And in 3 months, you're going to know, do people really even want this? And if that is yes, and if you are banging at $10 cost per sub $10 cost per leads, awesome, cool. Keep growing, keep learning. Like, effort is what really just drives the needle for these successful accounts that I work on. And before, I used to just be like, how do people unlock these levers of growth? I'll get a business that's like really big and like it's not that hard to manage, but at the same time, how do you go from 0 to hero? It's through massive effort. It's through testing. It's through content market fit. It's through finding an offer that's going to be taken up and scaled and convertible that people want. It's all of those things, but the main thing here is emphasis. The sales team, we need emphasis. The marketing, we need emphasis. And then on top of that, we need anti-complexity. Because if it's hard to process any of this, you can't give the emphasis. You can't land the blow because you're trying to figure stuff out constantly. That shouldn't be the case. And so that's why we do what we do. This guy is a good account. I like him a lot. And yeah, that is how we scale the business in 2025 from 0 to 75K a month. New deals, broke their acquisition system. If you guys have any questions, just leave it in the comment below. I'm going to be doing more case study videos. We'll break down what the ideal Facebook ad structure is like. And yeah, that's everything. Thanks, guys. I will see you at the next one.